Welcome to the 5th season of the podcast Entr'Nous by the Love Health Center. The podcast is a share of intimate discussion about sexuality. So, welcome to this new episode. So from now on, some episodes will be in English. Most of them will remain in French, but we want to talk also in English because still in Brussels, we already have 180 nationalities. And we want also to extend the audience of the Love Health Center. The Love Health Center is a physical place in the center of Brussels where we create workshop, talk, conversation of any kind and co-creation about sexuality to help you to progress on your sexual wellness. My name is Olivier. I'm a sexologist, life coach and sex educator at school. And I'm here with Camille, the producer.
Hi, Olivier.
And today with a guest, which is Katalin. Welcome.
Hello.
So I'll let present yourself to the new audience, the English people.
My name is Camille, and I'm, as you said, the producer of the podcast. I'm a life coach also, a video maker and a podcast producer, and I'm passionate about sexuality. I'm passionate about a lot of topics that just enable myself and the world to grow. And I'm super, super happy to co-create this product with you.
Yes, we collaborate because we have the same passion to share our joy and passion about sexuality and wellness. And we meet so much people that we have the heart to really expand it to as much people as possible. And today we are with Katalin, that's also willing to participate to that generous waves, I would say.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here in the center of love. Thank you so much for having here. And my name is Katalin, and originally I'm Hungarian, but I live in London. And also I'm a coach, also an NLP therapist, and working with people, and a never ever ending learner and discoverer, like a kid in life. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to share with you.
Yes, and when we met, I was really curious about the fact that when I see people progressing and really own their life and are very radiant and transmitting some kind of beautiful energy, I'm always curious to know a bit more about how the people progress in parallel in their intimate life and sexuality. And so the goal of this episode is to share in a subjective manner 3 points of your sexual life which are relevant for you. It could be an event, it could be a moment in your life, any kind that is meaningful and that can help people to progress on their side.
Yes, that's an interesting question to find just 3 points, because I believe there are many breakthroughs and little steps. So it's really hard to define in 3 points. I tried my best. So I went back and defined what could be the 3 points. The first one definitely is the point when I lost my virginity. Because like every other girls, I had an idea or a dream or a picture. How could it happen? What could it happen? And that time, the internet was not available. We only just could share, whisper, girl chatting about the sexuality and what could happen, how could happen, all of these things. And it was a kind of taboo at that time. Of course, all of us were listening the biology lesson, the class in the school, but it's all about just, the feature of our body. It's nothing about really the sexuality. It's just a mechanic. Like a description how the car is working, But driving a car is a completely different experience. So, and for me, it was awful. The first experience, because it was in a rush and I met a guy, I felt in love, and I thought it's like, okay, together forever and it's magical. But the whole experience was so awful and painful, because it's like the typical teenager movie. What you can see is like starting with the kissing, and after the hugging, and after penetration. That's it. And it was like 15 minutes or something like that. And I thought it's like, if it's this like the whole experience, probably it's not my journey at that time. And I felt a lot of shame and guilt around it, because how we conditioned, it was a value, what you have to keep it for a long time. And I mean the virginity, you have to keep it for a long time. And if you lost it, you became broken. You became like a second class. To go into a relationship, into a new relationship or in a marriage without the virginity, it means you are broken or a second class. Then, thanks God, this experiment moved further. And the second point turned into a beautiful relationship in my life. And that was the first point when I could openly discuss with my partner. It's like, what is my desire? How can I imagine it? But it was only like the first version of that, because we just read some magazines, like new tips, like how can you improve? But like if you have like a 1.0 version, and if you want to improve it, it's you with some few tips, you think it's like, oh my God, it's such a good one. We made it. We made the progress. It's so good. But obviously it's really far from where you can go further. That's why the defining 3 steps, or 3 points, it's really hard, because over and over again, you are describing or discovering. It's up until now, I could imagine that far I can go. Then you are going there, you're discovering it, and you start to see, oh, there are more options, there are more possibilities, I can play with this and that. So for me, this openness in the relationship was a big turning point, because before that it was hard to discuss, even with adults as well. Because even before I lost my virginity, I was abused sexually. And from people who I trusted in. And therefore I could really, really hardly open myself with my, just a question. It's like, how can I do that? What can I do that? Because I was afraid it's turning into another abusive situation, especially by men, like an adult man. So...
And you told me about that first partner who you start having an open discussion, or the possibility really to talk about relation and sexuality. You told me that the foundation was not really ideal, and you progress a lot, but there were some limits. Can you tell more about it?
I think the limit came from only just the understanding, the knowledge. Nothing between us. It's not in that relationship. It was not any other limitation. So we were really open. But unfortunately, that relationship, we broke up after 2 years. So because of other reasons. Then I started my life. I became like a single mother. I already had a child at that time. Then I had another really, really long relationship. And in that relationship was the sexuality, the open conversation. It's an obstacle to express the desire.
So it kind of closed you again in the opening that you had found.
Yes, my desire was like, finally, I'm in a relationship, because that was the condition as well, like being in a monogam relationship. That means you can share with everything just with one person, but it's your obligation to share it. What do you desire? Because the other person is not a mind reader. Yeah, do you agree?
It helps when you are able to share your own desire and not wait for the other one to Like,
yes, was a period. I call it when you have seen in your head. It's like how the intimacy should happen. It's like, okay, we are entering the room. Okay, we are switching off the lights, having a kiss, and after hugging or different scenarios, not go with the flow, not go with the energy. And at that time, it was still in our head, I believe so. But then it slowly, I expressed I would like to discover, I would like to learn more about it, or even go to the workshop or learn from different angle. But he was not really open for it at that time.
Yeah, it's really usual to observe that in couples, someone is ready to progress or willing to discover new stuff with all the comfort zone it represents, and that's the second one is just sometimes in the fear zone or blocked or really frozen about the topic, and it creates a lot of tension in the relation, because one is really willing to and is feel ready to progress, and the second is just blocking, and as it's usually taboo subject.
I believe it's coming from the false misconception, which means if I come to you and say, it's like, I want to improve, that's equal, it's not good. That's the reason why I want to improve. It's not about, I believe it in our mind. That means someone had a fault, did something mistake or wrongly, and that's why we have to improve. It's not about, but if we look around in the business world, how many products we use and it was really, really good, and after they started to improve and became even better and better and better. Do you agree?
Yeah, indeed, when you come with such a topic on the table, if you take it for yourself, if the ego is too much present, then you block the discussion. Indeed, there is place to progress, to learn, to discover, because otherwise life can be just boring, I would say. And we, at some point, it's logic that we want to discover a new landscape, new experience, new sensation, and we feel ready. Something very intimate. The inner voice inside us is telling us, oh, I would like to progress, I would like to discover something, and I would like to share it. But indeed, if the discussion, the communication with the other is not, I would say, free of personal obstacle, it's become difficult. Even if you want to discuss freely and say it does not relate to anything you did, but I just would like to, as a partner, to progress together and discover something new. Even saying that, some people take it for themselves. And they think they are not good enough, or it's not good at all, or I would say, jealousy can arise, or just come in on the table.
Yes, especially around the sexuality, because since the internet is available, I believe this is just a new generation have this access from really, really early age. So many of us conditioned by the surroundings, friends, family, country, culture, and it is so many differences. And we also conditioned our children about sexuality a lot of time. Even not directly, indirectly. What we are doing, how we are kissing, how do I touch you in public, at home, what do I say, how do I say, which word do I use, which word can I be offended by. And these things, it's passing by generation to generation. And unfortunately, the internet is not helpful for in this education, because everybody, or maybe this is our false belief as well, has to be one way for everybody, and like a magic pill or a magic lesson or a magic way, but it's not. how we are experiencing the dress up, or using different cars, or living different way in apartment or village side or family home. I believe the sexuality is the same. And it's starting with me. It's starting with my belief. How do I want to experience sexuality, the intimate life? And not afraid of saying, okay, I tried this and this and that. Maybe it's working, maybe it's not. But it shouldn't be afraid of it's damaging my life because I try something.
The aim of the podcast is really to give tools to people to help them to progress on their life and feel more comfortable, and also listen what kind of discussion we have in a sexologist, I would say, therapy session, and why we created the podcast in three. This podcast in three. We describe the history in 3 points. It's just to show that we are all different, but we all can learn from each other because there are common ingredients, and we are all legitimate to talk about it. And even the three of us, we are all coaches, very open about sexuality, but it was a succession of small and big steps. And you told me that even recently in your latest relation, it was still a challenge for yourself, even if you have a lot of tools of coaching, communication, to express that you want a more joyful sex life, but your partner was not open to it. So sometimes when we talk about sexuality, people think it's black and white, or easy for some people and difficult for others, or just, you are first and second class and say, okay, for some people it's so obvious and easy, but even for professionals sometimes, even if you have tools, you are, I would say, together in a relation with someone else, and you can not really do alone if you want to experiment together. And can you explain a bit more about your case? Because indeed
it's coming back to the rules. When the relationship is starting, step by step, we are starting to agree in a different rules, like how we want to live. We are sharing our desires and what is the rule breakers. Okay, sorry, I cannot accept this or cannot accept that. But after there is...
the rule breakers means that you have an agreement with someone and saying this is, if you break that rules, it's a...
Monogamy is a rule breaker. Yeah? So some people saying that it's like, this is my rule, this is how I imagine a relationship. And if you have any kind of incident with someone else, of course, it's a wide range, because for someone is only a kiss is a rule breaker. Mm-hmm. For another, only a text message could be a rule breaker. So it's a wide range.
Yeah. So you break the relation.
So
it's a criteria of breaking a relation. Yeah, it's a criteria.
But I believe it's no problem with boundaries and rules, because I have to express what I can accept and what it's not acceptable to me. Because, for example, if I have allergy to any nuts, I have to say all the time, sorry, I cannot eat nuts because you will kill me. Is this true for any emotions or relations or any ways between people? So many times we hide what our rule breaks. And people just trespassing our boundaries, and we think it's like, okay, everything is fine and you knew that. But the other person didn't know that. And I'm saying, but I told you. No, you didn't tell me. But it's coming from the mind, because the mind is always feeling the details which you did not clarify. That's why the clarify and verify is really, really important rules, especially with people. Of course, if someone has a marriage documentation, it's different, because the contract, it's written, it's there, you could see. But in the conversation, when I say monogamy, it could be completely different meaning to you or me. It's even the same word.
And it can also change from one period of your life to another one also. So from what you shared with your first like the first point that was important to you in like losing your virginity. And then the second one is kind of you move towards getting to know yourself better in order to be able to feel what were your desires, what you wanted to experience, and how you could have a more beautiful experience of like yourself through sexuality. And then what you share now is like how you could also share that in an open way with your partner, and kind of what I feel is that you learned what you would have needed when you were little in order to just say that was not okay, and that you're kind of still exploring that, because it's a search that we are, most of us, and I guess the three of us, going on to just be able to get to know ourselves and to just speak out what we want and where our limits are. And so is that like, did I get it right? That's the search that you are kind of still continuing at the moment.
Yes, that's correct. So go back to the rules. It's, we are all the time improving or changing. It's true in the change is the only consistent in the life.
It doesn't change.
Yeah. So this is what people doesn't accept when they go into a relationship or work or anything. Like accepting first, I can change myself because I'm discovering more and more. And also my partner could change and maybe have different desires. And what I found out of this relationship is I was growing faster, or I had more, I was willing to invest more energy for this growth, for the change, because it requires energy from you to improve yourself, to learn. It's an hours of dedication to change something. Even just from the good to the bad one, if you change the habit, is much more easier than from the bad to the good one. But also when you are passionate about something, you discover it's like, oh, it's getting really good. It's give me more sensation, or give me more pleasure, more joy, more state in my life. Even during the day, you could be completely different if you have an amazing night at the previous day.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you discovered through the second point, is kind of that there is a super broad list of experiences that you could explore in order to get to know yourself, to do you good, to be in connection with your partner.
And also you are getting new ideas, you are getting new imaginations, and you want to try it, you want to discover it. And that time he was not open about it. And we get to the point and say, okay, it's we cannot cope with each other anymore. Not just because of that, because of many other things. And that turned into the third point when I started my own experience, the Orgasmic Meditation. It's funny enough, I heard about Om in the relationship, and together we were at the event when we met that person who mentioned, it's like, my eye was like, bling! And he was like, I'm not sure. And I just said, it's like, come, let's have a try. Let's discover it. It's like, oh, no, thank you. It's not for me. It's not my cup of tea, and etc. So I had to wait approximately 2 years to start this journey. So I choose to not give up the idea. So I stepped on the journey and started to learn and discover myself, and discover a lot of trauma what I kept inside me, because it's a beautiful opportunity to learn basic rules, what is related to men and women. This is what I found beautiful in the Om. So first of all, women can express and ask without think about what is the price of asking, what I have to pay for this desire. And it's safe. I felt safe from the beginning because there is a clear boundaries, there is a clear rules, everything managed by and written also. So it's not a surprise from the beginning. They are explaining, they are teaching the rules. And within the rules or within this space, you can discover yourself freely. You have this safety. Someone hold the space for you, and it's a man. And you can experience the masculinity, and you can be feminine. You can be in the present, and remove all of these thoughts, what is in your head about how supposed to be, how should be. Am I body right? Am I good enough? Is that big enough? Is that small enough? Is that soft enough? And all of this compares in the head. But I believe many women head, it's like day by day basis measurement.
So it brought you back in a way to your body, right?
Yes, even on a deeper way, it was the first time to experience, to observe my body as not, it's just this, with the simplicity. Just my body. What is the body sensation? And also for me, it was really hard to describe at the beginning what's the body sensation, just itself, without the emotion, without the description of the emotion, without high, without low. It's just the simple description of body sensation.
No interpretation, no big story linked to...
no satisfying, not justifying, nothing. It's just, this is what's happened. It's like, it's raining outside or not.
Yeah, it really resonates with an experience that I've had lately about self-validation. And I feel that's something that I lacked in my story, and I can maybe make a link with yours, and just kind of being able to observe what we feel and just validate the feeling, having no story to be attached to it, just be, oh, yeah, okay, I feel that. Okay, I feel that. Just and then kind of moving on and being able to discover yourself through this process.
Yeah, it's really resonate with me. Yeah, because justify your emotions. It's a way to give more meanings and more pressure to make it happen. So, for example, when you were a kid, it's like if you are expressing more and more and justifying more and more, you have higher chance to get it. Like a naughty child. And we learn this. And to go back, it's okay if I feel this way. And it doesn't mean it's like colors. It's blue, red, yellow. It doesn't mean it's, if you compare to each other, have challenges to be the red to be red compared to the blue who is blue. It's not that lack. What is your experience with home?
With home, as a man, it was an absolutely beautiful experience, because first is the first time in my sex life that I don't have to, I allow myself just be, without the, I would say, being in the action or having my kind of unconscious obligation of doing something, or maybe whatever the performance or whatever, just be there without any expectation, really, that no expectation on, just be there for the sensation. And it's the same for the partner. It's just beautiful. We are there to share a moment with a lot of safety and care, and nothing is expected on both sides. We are just there to feel and experiment. And for me, it was just a completely new experience, which really changed my mindset and the way I can feel my sensation, because it's really, I was already very sensible on many points. Basically, when people talk about me, even before the orgasmic meditation practice, I'm someone very sensible. But there I really open new doors with myself. And I discover a new world of sensation that I can really, I would say, radiate and and share with my partner and with anyone in my life, in any situation. I'm more quiet, and my ability to be present increased drastically.
What was your biggest obstacles at the beginning as a man?
I think the biggest, maybe most challenging obstacle for me was really to ask. It's funny because for most women, having the ability to say yes, no, and owning our own desire, it's due to the education is more challenging than men, and we think that for men it's easy to ask, but for me asking is a challenge because it's just like, when you ask more or less than the partner, is it adequate? How is it interpreted? How is it received? What will be the answer? I'm free of any reaction. Can I ask it? I am too much. Does the partner is enough, or I am frustrated? There's so much mind disturbance around just asking. And for me, the main challenge was that, how to talk about sexually, how to say, I would love to make love. It's not that, there is no comparison. It's not coming from a scarcity or a lack of something. It's just the joy of making it, and that was a huge challenge because I was really in trouble to ask, because I was not really stable when I ask. It comes from different emotions, from different needs, from different conditions or different moments in my life. It was not consistent at all, probably not safe for the partner neither. And it was putting me in trouble a lot.
It sounded like a women side. Because for me as well, asking was the difficulties. Asking and also receiving. When someone asked me a question, it's like, can I say yes? Can I say no? It's like, how do I look like? What this person will say? Am I needy if I'm asking more? Like more times to have, because the rules in OM is very simple and followable to everybody. It's like 15 minutes exercise. So it's, what you can expect during about the rules, what will happen, how will happen. And also the expectation was a challenge to me, because once you experience the first home and you experience the joy, the freedom within a safe environment, you may have this expectation, okay, if I'm experienced more and more times, I have more and more joy. But if you are in a present, so if you learn really the own practice and being in the present, you will discover every single home is different, because you are in a different state. Your partner is in a different state. Maybe if the same partner. So you could have other partner also. And once it's clicking in your mind, like, okay, for this 15 minutes, I'm switching off everything, every expectation, every previous experience. And just for 15 minutes, I can focus on here, right now, what I feel, how I feel, what I'm experiencing through my body. This was one of the biggest lessons of OM. And also after that, I extract this lesson and invented in my other areas of my life. So when I'm go for a business meeting or I'm with the client, I'm not focusing on results. Sometimes I just be in the present and see what is there here, because you can get much more understanding if you are in the present and if you are asking the right question right here, right now, because how many things are changing day by day. For me, the biggest obstacles was the rule you have to be half naked, and it's again about the relation with our own body, like how do we love our own body, and how do we accept, especially the genitals, how does it look like, what is the color, what is the smell, what is the touch, what is the joy, how it's even the masturbation as well is a so big topic, which we could talk about it maybe next time. So just to accept myself as it is, how it is, and not thinking about it like measuring, comparing, and just be there and focusing on the right here, right now, because functionally I have everything for these 15 minutes to be happy, to experience the joy, and that's it. That's enough. And that being enough feeling was a big joy out of home. And for you, what was the biggest obstacles?
Just wanted to share what came, because it brings me back to this kind of validation. And I think I'm going to come back to the obstacle just after, but one big learning was just kind of this no expectation that also you mentioned, about not wanting to experience joy, not wanting to come, not wanting to have pleasure, just being able to, for me, what is just kind of feeling, and just creating a space where you can just feel, whether it's feel any kind of sensation, whether it's not feeling actually, it's just this. And I think this was also one of the biggest challenges, is to come without expectations, and just kind of leave them on the side when I started the practice, and be like, I have no clue what's going to happen. Maybe nothing is going to happen. Maybe I'm not going to feel anything. Maybe people around me will have completely different reactions than me, that will trigger expectations out of me, like all that kind of thing. And I like what you said about, that you took that learning into other areas of your life, because we live in general with a lot of expectations, how we have been raised, even just to, and I'm going to speak for myself, but I feel that I've been raised with a lot of expectations, whether it's for myself, for people, for the society. I should do this, I should do that, I should not do this, I should not do that, my body should do this, my body should not do that, you should come easily, you should blah, blah, you should love this, like expectations all over the place. And just having a space where you can just, be and really leave the expectations. When you enter the space, that was really, really a beautiful experience. And I like to also bring it to different areas, which remains a challenge also. So, yeah.
So what is your experience? What the major excuse what people brings on the table when they talk about home?
Well, I guess you have a lot. You may have more than me, but I guess what I can share is it's kind of weird. It's such a different approach to, like, what I like to say, it's mindfulness. So and first people are like, yeah, but it's sexual, like you are kind of touching sexual areas, so it's linked to sexuality, but then it's kind of mindfulness, so it's a part of the body. It could be another one and still have some of the same characteristics. So having to explain that it's sexual but not sexual in the way that we have kind of learned it, and that there is no aim at any orgasm, and that they may not have any excitement, but they may be, but it's kind of taking something completely outside of everything that I feel I've learned from around sexuality, and just kind of starting over with no a priori, no kind of, how do you say that? No clear, it's going to be like that, it's going to be like that, it's going to be like that, and just, come in kind of this exploration that you mentioned before. It's starting from scratch and just witnessing what's happening.
My biggest happiness when I heard about home was finally I don't have to create a story or act like somebody to have any kind of experience. And for me was one of the biggest relief. It's, I don't have to be someone to get something. It's a simple asking. Of course, at the beginning, it's asking a stranger, would you like to home? It felt like, even I was thinking about it. I said, it's like, oh my God, I cannot imagine this. It's coming that simple way. It's like, would you like to eat an apple or a pearl? Question. But after a many practice, it turned into that simple is like, would you like to home? So maybe it would be a great point to describe what is home for those who didn't know. What do you think, Olivier? Just explain in a simple words.
We did not explain it yet.
We can. There are a lot of episodes where we talk about home also. If people want to know more.
We already made an episode in French to explain what is it.
But for those who
and people can
speak.
also have a look to the website. It's described also. There are some data. But briefly, the orgasmic meditation is a meditation with a genital touch of the clitoris. And it's usually between a man and a woman, but it could be between two women also. But at least as it's a touch, based on the touch of the clitoris, we need at least one woman for sure. Independently of the gender classification or whatever, I would say a female. We can say that in English easily. And it's 15 steps, very clear steps from the request to the end of the experience, very simple one. And the main phase is indeed 15 minutes of what we call a stroke. Is just a small movement on the clitoris during 15 minutes and just be present about the effect of the sexual energy and listen what is emerging inside us in the sensation, and afterwards share that experience of sensation. And that's it. It's very, very, very simple. But as you mentioned, it could be very confronting because all the small steps can be like being half naked, a big challenge for people, but really helping. Because what I really like in orgasmic meditation is that it provides, from experience of many people I help, a strong and long-term change. It's very stable change. You start to experience new sensation, new way to communicate that really remain active and propagate that in your entire life usually. And you don't look at the past. It's not a therapy. You not look at the trauma or whatever. You just allow yourself to be in the present, feel the sensation, and just doing new experiment with no expectation. It's just healing by itself, and you create a new connection with your body, a new way of being connected with someone, a new way of communicating. And step by step, it becomes your own standard. And whatever your past, it could be awkward, painful, big trauma, abuse, whatever, it always brings you to a better place with a very stable, I would say, the change is there and remain there forever.
Yeah, it's really a practice of self-validation from what we've shared. For me, it's just witnessing what is. And as there is a step where you're witnessing the vagina, the sex of the woman, and there is no interpretation. There is no. It's beautiful. It's not. It's just simple validation of what you see, and removing this interpretation, removing this additional emotion, these additional stories that we often put on what we live. It's just really freeing. So yeah, that's one of the beautiful part I really like in
Just to summarize, so you took the orgasmic meditation as a main event in your sex life. If you can just summarize what was the main, I would say, takeaway for you from now, or for how long are you practicing, and what was the main takeaway? 3 years. And what is the main takeaway in your sex life? What did it change? Maybe everything. I don't know.
Oh, many many aspects, definitely. I just summarizing. Some of them is a repetition of what I previously said. First, we conditioned on one way, but it could be much more. And are you willing to discover more? This is the first question. Are you curious about what is available more? And are you willing to pay the price of the exercise, of the practice, and going through the first uncomfortable feeling because of the previous condition? Are you willing to change? This is the first question. And I said yes, because I was desiring more. It was in my belief it should be more than just what I experienced in the past. Asking and receiving, it's really, really important. Cycle in the life. And if you look out in the nature, animals and the plants, they are not asking permission to receive. They just receive it, whatever it's coming, whatever is available for them. And they have no drama or trauma or anything about to asking or to get it what they need. And it's so simple. And this simplicity came to my life, to not being attached. Is it a big or small what I'm asking or measuring to others? This is my life. This is what I need. This is what I desire. And I'm looking for the way to get it. I'm not asking, is it possible or not? Is it really my desire or not? It's just, I desire this. And I find a way. If it's this, I'm so happy. If it's other one, maybe I need more search or more finding. So this simplicity came to me. Also, coming back to the self-love and the self-acceptance of the body shape, the body look, the color of the genitals, and many other things which can be frustrating for many people, especially I believe for women. The genitals, a big topic. Because also we see in a lot of sexual movies where beautiful vaginas are there, and compared to that, maybe my vagina is not good enough. And it's a lot of emotions around it. So I learned if your emotion is slowing down, the level of emotion is slowing down, you will see the simplicity, you will see the beauty in everything. And that's why I don't have to compare my body, don't have to compare my shape, don't have to compare anything. It is me and the whole of me, to accept it. And having fun, because being involved in the own community, you can meet with a lot of people, and it's creating an instant connection just because you are exercising, like a dancing community or any other community. It's so simple to create a connection with another human being. And also you can have a conversation and you can open up even more about your questions or asking help. How did they go through this or that? So it helped me to create more connections in life. And one more, and it's a big, big benefit to experience the body. It's more than just a physical limitation or the boundaries, my skin or my physical appearance, like how we are energetic being, and how many new body sensation you could recognize and discover yourself. How do you experience energy in the life? And then you discover you are experiencing not just through Om on a day-by-day basis. You just maybe not right now, but you are traveling on a train or on a tube, and you could have this sensation just because someone standing on your side. But on a simple way, many people experience that. You meet a new person and you already have some feelings about that person without any description. And after that, the path is unfolding and you discover the relation with that person, and you're just finding out, my first impression was good. So these energy world, it's a big discovery. And how your body capable to receive, to experience, especially the genitals, even more than just the touch, softness or hardness or speed on many different layers. I think that was the most beautiful experience through all.
Thank you. Thank you for your share. It's really beautiful and vulnerable to share all of this with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And usually we close the podcast with just an advice, just something you would like to share with people, even not related with one of the topics you mentioned, but just one advice for them to progress in their sexual life.
Stay curious and open your mind, because sometimes even you don't understand what's happening, how it's happening. If you start to find a reason on a positive way, not on a faulty or blaming way, it's like whose fault. It's literally even you don't like a food. And I'm using an example because it's easier to understand. You don't like a food, but someone loves it. You can ask, can you explain me what do you love about this food? Because for me, it's totally new. I cannot understand how could you love this, because for me it's disgusting. And just listen and just accept if that person will share what is the truth from their side. And out of that you can learn and implement a new way of thinking in your life. And that will help you to move further in many ways.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your beautiful share. I really enjoy, seeing how from a traumatized childhood you can just blossom into a woman that is just taking care of herself and finding the curiosity in the difficulty to just grow. And I think it's a beautiful share to anybody that is going to listen to that podcast. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Katalin, for this beautiful share, full of, I would say, inspiration, I hope, for people that maybe have had similar experience with you, at least about trauma and maybe lack of education or difficulties in relationship. I would like to thank also Camille Rimbaud for which is producing this beautiful podcast with us for so long. Also, would like to thank the Podcast Factory Org, which is a partner of the podcast. And if you have loved this podcast, please share it around you. Talk about it, speak about us. And if you want also to share, even offline, you can come physically in the Lovell Center, you can call us, whatever, or come in front of the microphone and just share your own story. And if you have something very important to share about sexuality and wellness, you're really welcome to contact us. We are also looking for fundings and money to produce that podcast. So if you have any advice to find that money, please call us.
And today on the mic, we had Katalin, Olivier, and myself, Camille.